Hey Tyler, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Tyler. My name's Derek. I'm part of Seven Eagle. I'm stepping in for a few minutes. I just wanted to say hi and introduce you. How many people do we have back? Is quite a few. All right. Um, so here we got Tyler Nelson. He was a Army Ranger. Did quite some time in the service. Tyler, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Let us know what's going on as we start getting more people in here, man.
Yeah, sure. So I originally enlisted in the Army in 2006. Was fortunate enough to get orders to Vicenza, Italy with the 173rd. Um, a lot of people were pretty familiar with our battalion's, well, my first deployment, but the battalion's deployment during OEF 8, in which there's a couple documentaries made, a couple books written. Um, So that was my first introduction to the Army, to GWAT and deployment life. But there was a lot of really good lessons learned from that I did, years later, I'm now still learning from and applying in my business. And I would say with that, the biggest thing that I've learned is, the resiliency that you have as a veteran is not the same as most people in the civilian world. Um, we kind of are positioned a little bit better than most people to handle more turbulent things, especially with a business, the ups and downs, the failures, the wins, but you just have the ability to not quit, and just keep fighting. And no matter how stressful it is, you have an advantage that most people don't realize, and I didn't realize I mean, it took me well over a decade after I ETS to understand that it is an advantage over most people. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, was there any specific moment or any kind of mission that like really kind of shaped who you became and like everything after the military?
Yeah. Uh, my roommate, when I first got to Italy, he stayed in Italy. I reclassed from infantry to the 25 Bravo. Kind of think forward thinking after or during that deployment. Like, I don't know if I could do that kind of up tempo for 20 years. Um, so I'm probably going to get out of the military. And all of our squad leaders, they weren't, they were, some of them were stop loss. So they were trying to get security contracts after getting out. And you know, they were getting denied and no one would answer the call for them. And so um, I thought, okay, well, why don't I find a career field that the Army can train me? Because the Army was going to get what it wanted out of me, whether I wanted to or not. I mean, it's the way it is, right? They're going to get what they want out of you and then get rid of you. Um, so I was like, well, what can I do to get something out of it so I can set myself up for a career long term? I was like, well, buddy and I were like, let's do IT and see how that goes. I mean, I didn't even know what an IP address was back then. So to give you guys an idea of like where I came from, like I had to have someone explain to me before I went to AIT to reclass what an IP was because I had no idea. But then, so after I reclassed, I was working behind a desk at Fort Carson, 4th ID for the year that I was there. And a good friend of mine was killed. Yeah, that was a big moment because I realized that I still had a lot of physically, I was capable of doing a whole lot more than what I was doing. And there were units that were going to allow me to do IT work, but also do a whole lot more. And I was fearful of being the age that I am now at 40 years old, wondering if I could have ever passed Ranger School. And I didn't want to end up being 40 going, well, I wonder if I could have. So I knew the only chance I was going to get with my MOS was to go to the Ranger Regiment. Um, so I actually had to re-enlist just to go to RASP, which at that point I think we were like one of the last classes or one of the first classes of RASP. So they were still kind of figuring it out, and man, it was brutal. And I made it through that, got selected, and then from there got an opportunity to go to Ranger School. And I mean that really set the tone for me of like passing RASP and going in there like there is no other option because I'm fully capable of this, and there's a buddy of mine that doesn't, he's not coming back. He'll never get this opportunity. And I kind of didn't didn't really give myself a safety net in any way, shape, or form. And said, all right, I'm gonna go for this, and let's see what happens. I was fortunate to get selected for it. Fortunate to prove myself enough while I was there for them to give me a slot to go to Ranger School. Fortunate enough to make it through Ranger School, which, as everybody knows, is, I mean, it's not the easiest in the world. And yeah, after that, I mean, it really kind of set the tone for me of like, just go for it, just go after it, 100%. Don't give yourself that safety net, and see what happens. Like, you'll never know unless you try, right? Like, the fear of regret was so powerful for me that I was willing to go through all that.
Wow, dude, that's freaking awesome, man. That is an awesome story. I would kind of want to lean into your transition experience a little bit. And I mean, we kind of covered what you did and how you kind of went after it and how it defined you as a person. Transition, like as far the biggest thing I think that everyone really here would love to kind of know about is if you could go back right now to 6 months before you're about to get out or 3 months before you're about to get out, what would you like w- would have wanted to know at that point that you learned maybe after you transitioned or from someone else? Like what would be something that you would tell these guys?
I would say how powerful networking is. It is by far the most one of the most powerful things you can do. Um, so obviously being IT, like I was able to network with some contractors and stuff like that prior to getting out, but I didn't nurture those properly and build those up in a way that I would have been able to be like handed a contract to just continue working, you know, walk out one day in uniform, walk in the next day, khakis and a polo.
Yeah,
Utilize that to your advantage. Like, you have the ability to talk to these guys and see, hey, what is available? What do you know? Can you teach me about the game of being a contractor for the government? What does that feel like? What are the pros and cons? And I mean, you never know what somebody can connect you with. And so, man, the power of that, like when I got out, when I transitioned, I knew a couple of contractors and they kind of taught me like what to expect or kind of how they've been playing the game. And I didn't I didn't have a job for the 75 days of terminal leave that I had. Um, and then for another 2 weeks after that, I didn't have a job. So what, 80, almost 90 days, I didn't have a job. I had nothing lined up. I didn't network anything. I was just like, I'm getting out. I'll just figure it out. Someone will hire me. I've got a clearance and got IT background. I'm good to go. That wasn't the case at all. It was a little scary there for a minute, and it was a little frightening. Finally made something work and got hired. Um, but it was tough. I mean, it wasn't the greatest contract. Definitely underpaid for what I was worth, in my opinion. But I needed something. And then about 2 months after that, something better came along. Got hired into that, stayed there for a little while, and then kind of I started realizing how powerful it was to network with people and get to know people, and then more opportunities kind of came from there. But it's definitely been a struggle at times. It's not so clear cut either. But if you're willing to network and meet these people and just talk to them and learn from them, there's so much you can learn. And doing things like sitting in here and learning from people that have done it before, you're going to be set up. So the more you can think about being out and structure, or I guess nurturing those relationships with people is going to help you out tremendously. I mean, something like LinkedIn where you can meet with other people that have gotten out and see what they're doing and they can make connections for you. It's massive. I've seen it work tremendously. Been a part of the Three Ranger Foundation, and I've seen it work tremendously for guys. Just simply like, hey, here's guys living here. Here's guys in the industry you want to go into. Go talk to them. Like, go reach out to them. Go talk to them. See what's there. And I mean, I've personally helped a number of guys come out of the Ranger Regiment and get hired into a contract job the day that they ETS'd.
Yo, that's really cool, man. I mean, that's awesome. So when you were doing your transition, you worked these other jobs and stuff like that. What made you land in your current like industry and your career field? Like, what made you land there?
Um, so long story short, I was contracting for the DoD. We specifically for the Air Force at that point in time, we built a in-house piece of software that was for cybersecurity compliance. Worked great. That unit in the Air Force decided to shut it off. So the lady that actually developed it, the original like brain of it all, reached out to her. She had already left the contract, and I was running it since she had left. I reached out to her, was like, "Hey, they're turning it off. I think we have free reign here to like start our own business and try and resell this thing back to the DoD." And we thought it was a great idea. We thought, we did all the math and we could show how much time it would save, but recommendation is don't build software to sell to the DoD as your first customer. That was a terrible idea. It was extremely expensive. I mean, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars um, of my own money into this, and for 3 years, we made absolutely nothing. Not a dollar. I mean, nothing. I guess you could call it a complete failure. Medium value for the potential customer with high effort on our end, which doesn't lead to success. But then as we were doing that, we were trying to leverage as much as we possibly could to stay as lean as we could. And as everyone's familiar with ChatGPT coming out in the end of 2022, and a couple other LLMs that came out shortly thereafter, we started building our own internal bots, I guess is the best way to put it. We deploy the models locally and would feed it our intellectual property to help us debug some of the code and help us write code a lot faster. From there, we started getting asked from businesses to help them with little one-off things that we could implement for them with AI, and that immediately light bulb went off. Like, wait, people are asking for this. People aren't asking for the other thing we spent the last 3 years building. We should probably pivot right now. And we did a hard pivot, like a real, real hard pivot, and dove into that. And now we are developing AI solutions for a number of businesses throughout the country.
Hey, so what is that we are? What are we are? What is that? What is
Uh,
we?
we is Allset Technologies. Right now, it's a team of two. We originally started with three. Original founders. I'm the only remaining original founder. Once we started getting a little bit of success, we didn't have a lot of the business set up properly. And so some people didn't see eye to eye. Some people wanted to take it in a different direction. And what's remaining is me. And then I brought in a guy that I'm sure a number of you may know, Adam Peters. Um, I've been watching him for a number of months, probably about 6 months. He actually reached out to me about AI and building automations and kind of inspired him to just go for it because he had kind of been tinkering with it and thinking about going into it. And so I motivated. I was like, dude, go for it. Like, what do you have to lose, man? Like, worst case scenario, you learn a great skill. Like, that's the end of it. Best case scenario, you make millions of dollars from that skill. Awesome. Why not go for it? Kind of watched him for about 6, 9 months as he was doing that. And then as things were kind of falling apart internally for us, I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey man, I've been watching you. I see the great stuff that you're doing. Do you want to come on board and we'll kind of restructure everything and redo everything and see what we can do?" And immediately he was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And so we kind of restarted the company from scratch, looked at every single process that we were doing and tore it open and rebuilt everything from there and have just been building up the momentum since then, and it just is kind of exponentially building at the moment.
Wow, man, that's really cool. That's some cool stuff that you're doing. So what else does it involve? Like what kind of stuff would you be looking for to help bolster the development of this?
Um, one of the great things about AI right now is that no one is really a master with GPTs. It's only been out for a few years. No one can have 20 years of experience with it. They can have 20 years of experience with AI, but not with the current GPTs that we're using. You know, your Claudes, your ChatGPT, your Gemini, your Grok. These are all new. And so it's the wild, wild west. I mean, think 1993, 1994 with the, internet all over again. It's kind of, but on a whole other level of what's available. Curiosity to want to learn that stuff and want to fail a whole bunch at trying to get something to work, but seeing it through and not giving up. I mean, that's really, really kind of what we look for and what we need and what is going to kind of help you even in that industry. Or if you want to just leverage it for your job, I would say it's don't be afraid of it. Try and build things in there. Watch some YouTube tutorials, download some books some tips that'll help you do it, and start using it in your career field. We've seen it a number of times talking throughout the industry. Massive companies are, during an interview, they will ask you, are you using AI in your current role and in your responsibilities, or would you use it in this role? And the people that are saying yes and can give them examples of how they're using it are getting hired over the people that aren't.
Wow, and that's awesome. So one of the biggest things that we like to kind of try and talk about is this is kind of your SME, your subject matter expert when it comes to the this industry that you're in. So what kind of things in this industry would you be looking for in someone that was transitioning from the military? What is there certifications that they need to be worried about if they're trying to do that? You know what I mean? Just give them an idea of what they're looking at so that they can kind of fill in the process.
Really, there's really not many certifications because there's no like, it's not like you can go and get like it's not like a Microsoft cert. You can get your MCSA or MCSE or your CCNA or your CCNP for routing. There's not like a set standard for any of that stuff yet. Really, it's just can you prove that you know how to build the things in the tools that exist? Can you understand the benefits of AI? Um, so it's yeah, I wish there was a more simple answer than that, but it's just in a conversation and talking to someone you can figure out, hey, can you build me a simple automation in our tool that we use the most is called N8N. So the letter N, November, the number eight, and then the letter N as in November again. Um, just going in there and I mean, there's a number of videos out there that are free for you to watch. The best guy that I've seen that we watch that puts them out, his name's Nate Herc. Going there and watching those and just being able to show like, hey, I can build these automations or building your own projects in ChatGPT or in Claude and going in there and saying, I can walk into a situation and be more efficient than everybody else and then kind of prove it like here you go here's how I can do this role or this responsibility faster than anybody else can and its outputs better than most people.
So basically, it's just getting experience with it and just figuring it out. There's no like certification process or anything like that because
Nope.
it's so new and it's so fresh that it's they haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yep. Yeah, and
Okay.
to show you like the example of that, looking at Nate Herc, he didn't have any. I mean, he just started making content on YouTube about N8N and just dove into that, and his entire channel is dedicated to nothing but that. And when I found out about him was like in January of this year, and he had like 40,000 subscribers or something like that. He's now over 1 million because
That's
he
impressive.
just positioned himself to eventually become the go-to subject matter expert for N8N. And I mean, he's got a paid school community. It's like $80 a month or something like that. And I mean, he's doing very well every month because He just dove into it, no certification, nothing like that, just dove into it and then started talking to people about his journey, about what he's learning and what he's figuring out. And bam, there you go.
That's awesome. So when you're looking at anything, like do you use like LinkedIn or anything like that if you're looking for potential hires?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there something specific on there that you would suggest that would help someone that's looking to get into the field to kind of start looking for on LinkedIn?
Mm, yeah, it, it's content, but in your content, talk about what you're building. Talk about how you're building it. Show people like this is how I'm building it. And even though you're going to give what people think is like, oh, I'm giving them our intellectual property on how we build something, what we're seeing in the industry is it just gives people the trust that you know what you're talking about, you know how to build these things. And then on top of that, everybody wants an easier way to do something. So instead of trying to copy exactly how you built it, they will just ask you to build it for them and then pay you for that.
That seems like that would be a great deal, you know? It's awesome.
Yeah. It's weird, but I mean, I'm watching some of the people that got into this space and into this industry real early on. I mean, early 2023, like by like March 2023. You know, their revenue that they're making, not us, but their revenue is, um, oh, they're pushing over 10 million now since then. And I mean, they're doing deals with companies like Aston Martin, the Milwaukee Bucks, a couple foreign nations, some that they won't divulge because they have some NDAs with them. But I do know that they've turned down a deal with the country of Malaysia because what they were asking for just wasn't possible right now. But I mean, that's kind of what ends up happening is with this industry. But you don't have to get into AI to use it or to be good with it. You can use it in a lot of different jobs to just make yourself better, to make yourself more marketable, more efficient, have a better work-life balance, not have to do ridiculous manual tasks repeatedly and just I mean I've done that. I've sat in that cubicle just beating my head against the keyboard like I don't want to do this. I don't want to enter in this data one more time. Why do I have to do this like this? This is dumb. I'm using a computer. It should be faster than this. Should be easier. I mean, be that person to create that solution for yourself, if anything. Um,
I gotcha. Hey, I got someone here with a question. I'm gonna just make sure that he does actually have a question. Michael Kelly, do you actually have a question for him?
Yeah, yeah. So Tyler, thanks for sharing what you kind of like what brought you to the point of where you're at. And I know you kind of talked on how you have kind of doubled back on building the relationships and networking coming from the IT field. But for some of us that are pivoting to the IT field, um, where we may not have those pre-existing relationships with contractors or just corporate offices. Um, what what would you say would be really good steps to like initiate networking with finding even how to find the right people to network with other than just searching industry and this kind of person and and kind of just like taking a stab at the dark. But what would you say is some good ways, like how, if I didn't know you, if I wasn't on this call right now, how would I, like what would I be doing to find you to be able to network with you?
I mean, I'm extremely active on LinkedIn. That's where I would go to start and start building up a profile there. I mean, I'm watching the chat. There's a ton of people putting their profile in there. That is a great way to break into the industry. And then again, talk about what you're learning and how you're learning it. It doesn't have to be AI, just IT in general. You could be a systems administrator working on Microsoft or Linux or something like that, and talk about some of the things that you're learning um, and you're doing with it. You know, some of the things that you learn, like, I learned this trick, this week, and this is how I fixed this problem and stuff like that. That alone will kind of start setting you apart, where people will start reaching out to you as a result, rather than you always having to go and find people. Now, there's a small trick that you kind of got to do with LinkedIn. You need a ton of connections, right? It helps get you more exposure. Um, so you just go into my network and you find people that are in the exact role that you want to get into and just start connecting with them. Just send them a connection request. Don't even send them a message. That's it is you will grow very quick. You get like 100 or 150 or something like that a week connections that you can send out, and you just every week maximize it until you've got a few thousand connections, and by then you'll kind of start setting yourself apart and ahead of other people, and you'll have a really good foot into the industry.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Just to piggyback on that, Tyler, just a little bit, because I know you're going through that. But when you're on LinkedIn and you're doing stuff, whenever the LinkedIn works a little bit different than other social medias. So if you're starting to post things about what you're interested in, it's going to start feeding you more people like that, more content like that, and all that stuff. So I just wanted to add that in, not to
Yep.
step on your toes or anything, Tyler. But
That's spot
um,
on.
yeah. So uh, when you're taking everything right and you have all of this and you take a huge look at the grand picture that you have uh, throughout your entire military career, you obviously had some kind of leadership, right? And how did that leadership portray into the civilian world for you? Like where was the translation there for you, and how does it work to benefit you with your company and what you're doing?
Um, I mean, I was real fortunate. The leadership we had when I was in Italy was incredible. I don't know how this drug deal was made, but if you were a platoon sergeant or a platoon leader or higher, pretty much, and in a leadership role, they all had a ranger tab. That's just the way it was. I don't know how our battalion commander worked that deal, but that's the way it was. So you had some really good heavy hitters. Some as a private very early on, that's what I was exposed to. Um, Going to fourth ID wasn't so much the way. I didn't have a very good experience there, and then after Luke died, I quickly tried to get out of there and realized what I was missing after that, and tried to go somewhere where I knew the leadership was going to be obviously give me the opportunity to go to Ranger School, but be led in a way that I was going to actually succeed once I got there too. Um, and I mean, man, having a vision and essentially kind of your own morals of what's going to help you get there and how you're going to stay true to those. Um, you're going to have some tough conversations with people. I mean, I had to ask somebody to leave the company if I could buy them out, because I didn't feel that they were living up to what we felt was the right values and morals for the company and the vision and the goals that we were trying to reach, and just not compromising on that. Like, there's a thing that I use. I don't use it so much right now, but I basically kind of do it. I just don't do it directly. I don't like sit down and plan it out exactly as I was for the first or the man, like 2 years. I did this almost every day. Is I would write down 5 critical tasks every day. These 5 things, if I complete them, will push the needle forward. Will get me closer to my goals. And would just relentlessly go after them every day. And you know what? There's a lot of days I didn't complete all 5 of them. A lot of days, and sometimes days in a row I wouldn't complete them. You're going to go through hardships. You're going to go through relationship breakups. You're going to go through deaths. You're going to go through all kinds of stuff. You're going to feel unsure about yourself and what you're doing at times and question whether or not it's a good thing or the right thing to do. But I just kind of stuck to, okay, if I complete these things, I'm continually pushing the needle forward and I'm getting closer and closer to my goals every day. Then I can provide the leadership to my team to show them how we're going to get there and provide them the pathway to get there. Just like other people showed me on how I was going to, make it through Ranger School, how I was going to make it through that first deployment. And yeah, just kind of stuck to that and continue to do that every day as much as possible.
This kind of loops back to the beginning when you were talking about just the fact that we gain so much resiliency as service members, and you just kind of have to learn how to make your own goals because they're not being provided for you by the military anymore. So yeah,
Nope.
so the 5 goals that you had a day, even if you were doing one, you told yourself you were still moving the needle, you know? So that's so huge. And it's just a huge attestament to your resiliency through everything, man. That's really awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean that's the huge thing. We're veterans. We've all had to do push-ups. We've all had to suck it up a little bit and do something we didn't want to do, right? While someone was yelling at us, telling us to do it, and it was like the last thing in the world we wanted to do. You have that resiliency in you. Every single person in this meeting has it. It's just, can you tap into it now that someone's not there forcing you? And you can figure that out. You're unstoppable. You can do anything you want.
Dude, that's the absolute truth, man. I mean, there's no better way to put it than that, man. That's awesome. What would you say throughout your entire life, both on the, everywhere, where would you say you got the best, and what was the best career advice you ever got?
Best career advice. Um, I don't know if it was career advice, but I've turned it into career advice. And we were filling sandbags my first deployment. Being a private, you're gonna fill sandbags, right? Because we were out in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan. This is 2007. Nothing's really built up, and I like look at my squad leader. I'm like, dude, why are we doing this? Like, why do we keep filling these sandbags? Like, our defenses are good enough, right? And he just simply yelled at me, complacency kills.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
so,
that's the truth.
I mean, I look at it in business, I look at it in your career. Like, if you're not continually trying to improve, you're gonna kill it. Whatever it is, you're gonna kill it. Your workout routine, your diet, like you get complacent, you're gonna kill that, right? You're gonna kill that momentum that you've generated. You're gonna kill, in business, right? You get complacent, you stop trying to push things, you stop trying to scale, you stop trying to improve customer relations, you stop trying to improve the service or the product that you're delivering. You're gonna kill the business. In your career, you stop studying, you stop learning, technology catches up to you, and it surpasses you. And next thing you know, when the company is in a hardship and they got to figure out who they're going to get rid of, guess what? You're going to be on the chopping block. I mean, that that piece of advice, yeah, it's huge.
Awesome. That's really cool, man. All right, so I have a couple more questions for you, man. Just a few things, and then I'm gonna open the floor to anyone here that has some questions for him as well for a little bit. But let me ask these last couple questions to you, and then we can open the floor to some people that want to engage with you. Okay.
Sure.
So the big thing that we want to know, right, is what what motivates you outside of work? What it keeps you going when you're not worried about work, or is it always work?
Um, Fuck, that's a good one. It's not always work, but once you get in a really good momentum and a really good groove, it's kind of hard to turn it off sometimes. So your brain just keeps focusing, keeps churning the wheel.
But is it really work, Tyler, or do you feel like you're, just having a good time?
Just a little bit of both. Sometimes there's things I don't want to do in it, right? Like right now we're in the middle of taking a book and creating it and turning it into an audio book for the author with his voice without him having to record a single word. Um,
Wow,
and
wait, with his voice, you're going to use his voice? Wow,
yep,
that's incredible.
yep. So really excited about that. But there's some times in there where it was getting a little frustrating, and I didn't want to sit down and it's 10 o'clock at night, and I want to get this version out to him to listen to, the small portion, and trying to build a system so I can make it more efficient when I do the entire book, right? So I'm just looking at one chapter right now, just trying to make sure that chapter works for him, and then we can do the rest of them. But how do I create a system so that I can do the rest of the book as quickly as possible? And then, so therefore, if we get additional asks from his publisher or other authors, I'm not having to go through the same problem all over again, right? It sucked. It was painful. There's parts of it I didn't want to do. And I would rather have done other things, other business development type things, right? And when you're doing that, you can't listen to music because you got to listen to see how it sounds and I'm hearing the same 5 paragraphs for hours. It's like, man, I mean, I can almost recite this part of the book for you off the top of my head. But the other parts of it, when we deliver something for a customer and they tell us how much it's changing their business, man, that doesn't feel like work anymore. But the real reason behind it all is, and even outside of work, um, yeah, this one's this one's tough. Um, so I almost feel like it's a duty to the guys that we lost overseas to live a life that was worth their sacrifice.
Absolutely, man. No, you're absolutely right. I 100% agree. I bet you put a one in the chat if you agree with Tyler on this one. Put a one in the chat. Let's see him. Let's see them all. That's awesome, man. Man, that's awesome. And one last question for you, bud, and I'll let everyone else get their questions in. If you could recommend one book, podcast, resource to veterans that are all here in any
Ooh.
shape or form, what would that be for these guys?
Relentless by Tim Grover.
Okay, is that a book?
Yeah, it's a book.
Okay, cool. But
He
a
was
book.
uh he was Michael Jordan's trainer when Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan. And then he's worked with other guys, Kobe Bryant, number of basketball players, and he talks about why those guys were as successful as they were because they were absolutely relentless.
That's awesome. Heck yeah, man. Does anyone have any questions for him? Go ahead and fill the chat if you guys have some questions for him. We'll try and get to as many as we can.
Not a question, but I just want to say thank you for coming to speak to us, man. You dropped some really cool knowledge bombs on us, and it's something I really wanted to hear. I'm trying to get into the IT field myself, and hearing your story gives me hope, man. So thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, if you just got to dive into it. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. I left like the week before I left to go to AIT. One of my buddies had to explain to me what the IP address on my computer was, and that's where I started. I'm not lying. Like the first 3 weeks that I was at AIT, I felt like I was gonna fail, and I had really fucked up. Like literally, all day in class, I'm just like, everyone else kind of understood what was going on. I was way over, like I felt I was way over my head, like completely lost. Good thing it was an open book test, the first test. I probably would have failed it. I'm not even gonna lie. Like it was rough. It was extremely rough for me. I just went from, yeah, where are we walking to today? All right, cool. Like I mean, I was, there wasn't much to it. And then you're giving me all these additional things to try and learn that I knew nothing about in a career field I knew nothing about. So if you just stick with it and just constantly learn. My first, like the first year-long contract I had after I got out, um, I worked nights. I moved to a city I didn't know anybody. Um, so I didn't know anybody when I moved to Montgomery, Alabama. I went from Fort Benning to Montgomery. Didn't know anybody. I worked nights and I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night on top of it. So nobody was awake the nights I had off. Everyone was working normal hours. I didn't know didn't know anybody to do anything. All I did was just sit there and study. I didn't do anything for like a year and study. And then towards the end of that, I started skydiving. Um, and that's where I started meeting people. But up until then, like all I focused on was just getting certs because in the IT career field, not AI, but in the IT career field, certs outweigh a degree 100%. I see it all the time, guys trying to get hired into a contract or something like that. The first thing they're going to look at is your certs. They don't care about them. They don't care about what school you went to. They don't care about your degree that you have. If you have a master's in it, yeah, it's nice, but do you have the certs that are required for the position that you're going to fill? They weigh so much heavier. I mean, tell you the truth, I don't even have a degree. Put it that way too.
So, you know, based on what you're saying, what about experience? I mean, obviously having experience matters, but if I just have a ton of certs, but I don't have experience because I'm trying to transition into IT, um, how does that work?
You'll get your foot in the door somewhere to give you the experience that you need with those certs. You might not make as much as
Okay.
the other person with 10 years of experience in the same certs, but you'll at least get in the door, and that'll at least give you the experience that you need for that. I mean, I've seen it time and time and time again. Um, I do a side job or a day job, right? And I've seen network engineers come in and they hired somebody without a cert, but just had some decent introductory knowledge. They gave them 6 months to get the cert, and then they worked their way up over a few years. They're a team leader making double what they started with.
That's good, man. That's the dream. Hopefully, in
Yeah.
some time, that'll be me.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean
you.
it's all on how hard you want to go after it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks,
you
man.
got
Thank you.
this, man. Hey,
Thank you.
Robbie,
Thanks, everybody.
of course, bro. Robbie Bristol, you got a question?
Yeah, really quick, going back to the experience thing. I started my cybersecurity journey like 2 years ago. Started going to school. I'm working on my bachelor's degree right now. I'm in my junior year. Um, as in terms of experience, I'm always told that projects are going to be the thing that like puts you above other people if you don't have any like real experience. And I've been kind of dragging my feet on, like building a home lab and doing all the projects that they say to do. Did you do any projects like that? And if you did, do you have like any advice on the best way to get started?
I didn't do any projects.
Okay.
When I got out, I went into systems administration right away. Um, although I liked network engineering better, but the last the last 2.5 years when I was at Regiment, I did a whole lot more sysadmin type stuff than I did networking, and so I went after that, got some Windows certs, got my MCSA, um, and then just kind of slowly built my way up from there, and was fortunate. There was one job that I landed where the technical lead on the contract sat kitty corner for me in my cubicle, and they were like, when you'd stand up, they were like maybe like chest height, so you could stand up and see the other person really easily. And he just kept giving me stuff to do. I was like, hey Johnny, give me as much as you want to teach me. Um, and he just kept putting it in there. And so I guess that way I had projects, but it wasn't like I went off on my own and did any projects. I just had those. So in my resume, they would ask me about some of the things that I did while I was in those roles. It was like, well, here's the project I did for this. This is how I handled it. This was all the pros, cons, this, that, and the other. When they ask you to expand about your experience with this, can you tell me about how you handled this? Like, oh yeah, here you go. This is everything I did for it. Um, that was huge.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Michael Kelly, you got a question?
Yeah, so I understand like uh the and I've seen how we've gone from you've got to get the degree to degree's nice, but certs matter because you've learned specifically, what the cert means and what it stands for. But I'm even seeing more of a shift towards a like it's cool if you've got the cert because you watched a bunch of classes and you've done some projects to there's starting to be a shift into I just need to know that you can do the job. And the
Yeah.
problem that I'm seeing with that is and some of the folks that are on this call have mentioned in previous calls before that um, when we are pivoting into the world of IT, and we don't have the certs to back it up, but we may have plenty of experience in networks, in system administration, in that, like, what's the best way to, while we're working on getting certs, what's the best way to kind of highlight that experience, apart from putting posts up on LinkedIn or whatever, to show that, like, what are some good ways to get an audience with the decision makers, to show that while I may not have elevated degree certificates, but the job that you're asking for, I've been doing that, in the Navy for years. I just don't have this a certificate for it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more on how you write your resume and how you can highlight. And I didn't do this a lot, but I know that it worked for a lot of people. And kind of tailoring your resume specific to the role that you are applying for. So if you're going towards, you know, some sort of cybersecurity role specifically, and they talk about specific technologies that are the responsibilities of that role, highlight those, put those at the top, make sure that they see that, because they're going to want to know that you can sit down, even though you don't have the cert, but you can sit down and they don't have to handhold you the entire thing, that you do have some things that you can hit the ground running with, that, like you said, you can actually do the job that they're looking for. Um, I know that's worked for me a couple of times, that I have had specific things highlighted in my resume that I knew went specifically for that role, and that at least got me the interview. And then it's on you at that point to kind of prove to them that you are who you say you are.
Hey, Tyler, I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. That was Mr. Kelly, right? Mike Kelly?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, that was me.
there's some other resources out there for you as well. If I mean, I can just list a couple, like Coursera and a couple other ones where you can go get practice. You can go on YouTube and search videos. But if you want a more extensive list of ways to do that, you can reach out to me personally. I'm going through all of those myself as it is right now. So we're gonna get to the next question. If you're good, Mike, are you good?
Hey, Derek, I'll piggyback after that, off that, because as you mentioned, I remember I do have a friend of mine that he was a dog handler in the Army, and after talking with me, I convinced him to get into IT. He does a lot of Coursera and Udemy courses. He's now a senior data analyst. He makes six figures, works fully remote. So
All right. Next guy, Richard.
help.
Richard, you got a question?
Yes, sir. Tyler, thank you for hopping on the call. We always appreciate people that are in IT, of course. We have a lot of questions. My question pertains more to your business and the goals that you have in your life. You kind of had got a question earlier about like what motivates you outside of, just working and stuff. I was curious like what your personal goals were in your life.
Really, I mean, I want to help people. Um, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be around some business owners when I was a kid, when I went to high school. Um, and I saw how much that like the effect it had on the entire economy where I grew up, and the number of jobs that were created as a result of their business, right? Of what they were doing, what the image that they had, and it's tremendous, right? Like, I mean, people literally have a living, can support their family, and who knows what those kids from that family can eventually turn around and do, right? Like, we all came from a family, right? We've all done different things in our life, and man, it's when you start looking at it that way, like everything you do at that point is kind of like, man, this is like the goal is to make as big of an impact as possible. And so an easy way to do that is through the business, but then also, when doing things like this, I also help out with the Three Rangers Foundation, and then yeah, I mean yeah, I mean I rescue dogs. I have three rescues in the house right now. One of them's a foster fail. I mean, it's just how much can you, as much as possible outside of the business, it continues there. And kind of what I said before, just trying to live the best life that I can possibly live, and worth all those guys' sacrifice because, yeah, I'm here, they're not.
When you look back in 20, or when, let's say, like, you pass, right? And people are talking about you 25 years from now, what do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, that I help motivate them to be a better version of themselves.
Yo, that was awesome. Throw a one in the chat if you agree. Let's see him blow up. Let's go. Let's get some reactions and stuff, man. That's awesome. Yo, Tyler, that is so cool. We got one more guy with the question, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up, boss, and we're gonna call it a time. All right. One more question. Lewis, are you ready?
So yes, you can hear me, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. So thank you very much for all your advice. It was very it helped a lot. So my question was about projects, right? So I was wanting to go into the IT field as well. And back in Virginia, when I used to be there, I did some volunteer work for network engineering. And I was wondering if that is something that I could put on the project section of my resume or if it's not relevant.
I mean, was it IT related? Did you actually
Yes.
put your hands on the like when you explain it, make sure that the technologies that you put on there are ones that you actually can explain how you used it. I've seen it a number of times. People they worked on a project and they logged into a system one time, so they write it on their resume, and then people ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't do anything with it." Like making sure it was stuff that you actually did. But yeah, I mean, have that on your resume. Like you worked on it, right? You put effort into it. You helped drive that project forward. You helped it succeed 100%, even if it's for a volunteer thing. Put that on your resume, man. That's what they want to see. They want to see like you did something. I mean, you did it for free, right? Like you volunteered to work on it.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that tells that I think, in my opinion, that tells me a lot about you that you actually like truly want to do this stuff to the point where you'll do it for free. Not that I am going to expect you to do it for free as like an employer, but that you thoroughly enjoy it and that you want to learn about it and you're curious. Like that's what they want to see. That's the people that they want to hire because they want someone that's going to most, I will say not all, but most want somebody who's going to grow in that position and not, especially as you're kind of starting off early in your career, they don't want someone who's just going to be entry level forever. Like, yeah, it's great on the contract side because I know you're going to fill that seat for the entirety of that contract. But the project manager or the task lead for that contract, they don't want to see that for you. They want to see you step up into the higher roles. So they need someone that they believe is going to grow beyond that position. So 100% that should be in there.
All right. Thank you very much, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Tyler, it was awesome, man. Hey, everyone throw some fire in the chat for Tyler, man. If you guys want to link up with him, I got his LinkedIn in the chat right now. All right, so go over there and connect with him, get to know him, get the fires in the chat for him, man. Alsett Technologies, thank you so much for coming, Tyler, dude. It was really cool to hear you speak, man, and talk about your experiences, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for the opportunity. So any of you guys that link with me and you want to talk more, just make sure, mention to me that you were on this um, Seven Eagle kind of mentorship thing with me on this call. And that way I know kind of more about where you're coming from and I can put you ahead of some other people that I'm talking to. And I'll make sure you get some time with me. And even if you want to just book like a 20, 30-minute call with me or something like that, pick my brain some more.